Sand is our word for infinite. We say grains of sand when we mean a number too big to count. And yet the world is running short of it, not short of sand in general, short of the only kind that actually builds anything. Start with the scale, because it's genuinely absurd. By mass, sand and gravel are the most extracted solid materials on Earth. United Nations Environment Program figures put global use of sand, gravel, and crushed rock at tens of billions of tons a year. That's more, by weight, than all the fossil fuels we pull out of the ground. So where does all that mass actually go? Almost all of it disappears into concrete. Concrete is cement and water binding a much larger volume of sand and gravel aggregate. Every building, every bridge, every dam, every kilometer of road is mostly compacted sand wearing a thin cement coat. Which sets up a fact that sounds like a joke. Gulf states sitting on literal oceans of dune import construction sand from abroad. Skyscraper booms in the middle of the desert, built partly on sand shipped in from other continents. So what is wrong with the sand that's already there? Here's the part almost everyone gets wrong. Desert sand is largely useless for construction. Wind-blown grains spend thousands of years rolling and colliding until they're round and polished, and round grains don't interlock. Concrete made from them is weak. Builders need angular, rough-edged grains with corners that lock together under load. So who manufactures the angular kind? Rivers. Flowing water fractures rock, grinds it into sharp-edged grains, sorts it neatly by size, and then delivers it downstream for free. Riverbeds, floodplains, lakes, quarries, and the seafloor, that's the real supply. Which means the pressure lands on rivers, and it lands hard. Demand for something this boring has been strong enough to create organized crime. In India, sand mafias are a documented phenomenon, illegal mining operations linked in press reporting to violence against officials, journalists and activists who got in the way. And the physical damage is just as direct. Dredge a riverbed and the channel drops. That can undermine bridge foundations, collapse the banks, and drain the groundwater sitting alongside the river. It also starves the delta downstream of the sediment that keeps it above sea level. The Mekong Delta is the textbook case. Sediment starved by upstream dams and by sand mining, while the land itself sinks. That's tens of millions of people living on ground that is quietly losing its argument with the sea. Then there's the geopolitics, and Singapore is the clearest example. The city-state has expanded its land area substantially since independence, much of it built on imported sand. Neighboring countries, including Indonesia and Malaysia, have at various times banned sand exports to it over environmental and political concerns. Sand became a foreign policy lever. So why not just stop robbing rivers and crush more rock instead? You can, and increasingly we do. But crushing costs energy and money, and good manufactured sand needs the right rock and the right processing. Recycled concrete and construction waste help as well, though mostly for lower-grade uses. And there's a catch that stops any of this becoming a tidy global market. Sand is heavy and it's cheap, so it can't travel far before the shipping costs more than the cargo. That means sand crises are always local, even though the driver is planetary, a construction boom measured in billions of tons of concrete a year. Here's my take. Sand is what happens when something is so cheap nobody thinks to call it a resource. No price ticker, no strategic reserve, and for most of history, no permits worth the paper. And yet, it's the physical substrate of urbanization itself. The shortage isn't of grains. It's of the specific, angular, river-made kind in the specific places we're building. We are strip mining rivers to poor cities, and the bill arrives as collapsing deltas and vanished islands long before the concrete ever cracks.